Hi, I'm Jeff Pospisil, the 10-Minute Treasurer with practical advice for improving your church's financial future. In this video, I'm going to talk about Excel's SumProduct function and how you can use it for allocations. And probably most of you have never used or maybe even never heard of the SumProduct function, and that's fine. It was kind of a niche thing. It's basically the purpose is to multiply two sets of data. So you might have cells C1 through C7, multiply that times cells D1 through D7, and I never really understood why you would want to do that, but I found out why you'd want to do that. But before this, I did use some product function, but not for its intended purpose. So here's what I used to do is I used to have a spreadsheet like this, and I'd want to sum data based on multiple criteria. So like this one over in cell B8, I'd want to have the data summed based on the month and the year. And they used to never be able to do that. You could only sum based on one criteria. So you'd have to use something function like this. Some product, this was not the intended purpose, but I got used to using that. And actually, I didn't realize that SumIFS was introduced for almost a decade until almost a decade later. But I think it came out in 2007, where you can actually sum based on multiple criteria. But anyway, I was still using some product at that time. Practical example is on making a narrative budget. You can probably use it for allocations on investments and other things, but how would you allocate your budget based on your priorities? So I served a church that used to have the priorities of worship, grow, serve. So how would I go ahead and allocate those and come up with the dollar amount and do it in a simple way? So this is the pretty close to the actual budget of a church I served. You got the staff expenses, trustees, everything else. And then I went ahead and I did the allocations already, and I just hid the columns so that you wouldn't have to watch me do all this work. So worship, grow, serve, and then I just estimate how much of my staff time went to each category, how much of my office expenses, how much of my worship, how much of my evangelism, all those different ones. And then you used to have to do this in almost a manual way. And so you'd have to multiply C2 by B2 and then D2 by uh, B2 and so on and so forth until you got everything multiplied out. And then you did a total on the bottom, a sum on the bottom, and that's what I used to do is I just had to have all these extra formulas. But with some product, what you could do is you could go some product and you want to select your budget in B2. And I'm going to use the absolute reference. So I'm going to hit F4 and then I'm a comma. And then I want to select the cells in C2 through C11. They got to be the same size. And then close parenthesis. And you're going to see that I'm going to end up with the same amount, the same total as before, 78,040, 78,040. So they turned out the same. It worked. And now I'm just going to copy it over because I used the absolute reference, copy, and I'm going to paste the formula. So that way I don't mess up my formatting. And you'll see that the amounts are the same. And so I really didn't even need this now. And I could just trust some product to do its job. So, and also, even if you highlight these, you can see that the total is the same, 357,000. You can see that on the bottom. And this is what I would use then to create a pie graph. I would select these and I would create my pie graph, and that's what would go into my narrative budget to show that, the percent that goes towards grow of our total budget, the percent that goes towards worship and serve for our total budget. All right, I hope that was helpful. It's kind of one of these niche ones. I just learned about it, so I figured I'd share it with you. I think I just learned it maybe a month or so ago, and I thought, might as well put this out there. Again, this is a ministry of the Finance Office of the Dakotas Conference of the United Methodist Church, as well as the Dakotas United Methodist Foundation. And if you found this helpful, I encourage you to share, like, subscribe, any of that good stuff to help other church treasures, other church finance people. All right, until next time.